Hey everyone, it's Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com, DevOps TV. We're here at IBM Think 2018 at Las Vegas, and I'm actually joined by a friend. He's a kind of a regular on our videos, right? Well, I use friend
Once
loosely.
or twice.
Maybe more. Robert Reeves, co-founder, CTO of Datical. Robert, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. Always great to hang out with you.
I see you broke out your Big Lebowski
Just for
sweater.
you, buddy. Just for
I
you.
love that sweater, man. But when you're doing the Big Lebowski sweater, you really should have like a beer or
I know,
something,
but
a
we're
cocktail.
recording this before noon.
Oh, okay. Is that a rule still?
Well,
We're
in
in
my
Vegas.
house,
We're
in
in
my house
Vegas.
it is.
Obviously, no one's told him what happens in Vegas. Well, could get you in trouble. We are on video. Anyway, all kidding aside, Robert, I caught the tail end of your presentation here yesterday, and it was a nice presentation, well attended, and I
Sure was.
and they were really engaged. So I saw the audience very engaged. Why don't you share a little bit though with our audience out in YouTube land here? What your presentation was on.
Well, absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, when we're adopting DevOps, we're looking to break down silos. In the past, when we developed software, we were restricted by Conway's Law, which says that a system is going to mirror the lines of communication inside the company. And that's, back in the day, that led us to have the UI team, UX team, and they were HTML and JavaScript and those sorts of things. And then we had the middleware folks writing Java. Then we had our DBAs. But that's not working. That has led us to create these monolithic applications where we have to physically take the release from one place to the next.
Yep.
And what we're doing now is we're having these cross-functional teams. We're putting things together, and it's working. We're having our UX and our business logic folks working together, and they're provisioning their own servers in the cloud. They don't have to go through the infrastructure operations, I&O folks. But we still have other folks being left out. And one of them is one team is the database administrators. We need to bring that database expertise into these teams. And so that's what the talk was about. I was calling for decentralized data management. Instead of having this external team do this stuff, we can empower our development, our now product teams to do their own data management, do it safely and quickly.
So let's repeat that again, though, for our audience, and we'll say it slowly. Decentralized data management.
Absolutely.
And what we're talking about here is not just, obviously decentralizing data management, but from what I'm hearing you say, Robert, what we're talking about is taking the sole data management role away from some external team who's not sort of on the front line, if you will, of dealing with this data and the database, etc., and empowering these frontline teams to actually manage, do some data management as part, because I mean they're the ones on the front lines who are doing this.
Absolutely.
And they're performing data management. Now, I would imagine that doesn't mean we get rid of that external team that's still responsible.
Oh, we need that expertise. We need those folks that understand the internals of our database platform. We need that in the company.
Yep.
What we don't need is these highly skilled folks to be reviewing every single database schema change. There is software, and we provide that at Datical, to automate that process. And what we've seen is that as you move from left to right, on the left side of the delivery pipeline, you know the ins and outs of your application. And as you move to the right, you know the ins and outs of the platform, where you're running this application. And so we need to put the decisions for performance, scalability, security on that right side. That's what those folks need to be. Those are the problems they need to solve.
Right.
And on the left side, we need to allow a developer the ability to say, I need to add this column to the database, and have guardrails to make sure that they do it correctly, the correct data type, the right naming convention, those sorts of things.
So, Robert, before you came into our studio room here, I was actually talking to another presenter at IBM Think this year, and he was from Danske Bank, a Danish bank, and his his thing is automating IT operations. But we had a really fascinating conversation. I wish you were here for it, where we talked about, though, the basic need of humans, right? There's a human need
Yes.
to feel like they contributed, like what they're doing is valuable. And sometimes when we talk about automation, right, and we're going to automate everything, we're going to automate all things. We're never going to automate all things, frankly, because, you automate the easy things. As we automate the hard things, it becomes harder to automate. And then eventually you reach a point of diminishing returns. But you also reach a point where, look, you want to take humans out of it altogether? It's just not happening, not in our horizon.
Look, humans are very good at coming up with creative solutions. They're horrible at repetitive tasks.
Low-level kinds of things.
I know I am.
No,
I'm
we all
awful
are.
at it. And so, I always say this, and it is that automation replaces tasks, not people. We have these amazingly gifted database professionals that are locked up in these large organizations.
Doing repetitive tasks.
Yes, why are we having them just respond to tickets?
I understand, but I'm going to tell you why I think, or I think it's a big reason why. And we've seen this in QA.
Yes.
We've seen it in security. We've seen it in other disciplines within IT. It's because when you have someone who has a family, a mortgage, needs a job.
Sure.
And you tell them, look, we're gonna change what you do.
Yes.
And that repetitive task that you consider is easy and boring, it is easy and boring, and you shouldn't do it anymore.
Yes.
But don't worry, we're going to give you something else. That scares the heck out of people.
Absolutely. It sure does.
And so, you could take them by the hand and lead them to the promised land of higher value work that they can do. But until they reach that land,
yes,
they're resistant, to say the least.
Absolutely. We certainly heard that in Steve Robinson's presentation, his keynote.
Yes.
They were certainly talking about that. They had a Forrester analyst who was speaking to that. But at the end of the day, it's all about dollars and cents, all right, for the corporation. But there is long-term money. There is short-term money.
Yep.
The companies that look at this problem and recognize we need to get leaner and meaner, faster and better, deliver more value to our customers. We are going to change how we deliver software. Those folks are going to do better. And that is going to provide more opportunities for the individual as their job shifts.
Yep.
Now, we've certainly seen this at Datical. We have certainly seen DBAs that have looked at Datical, and it does appear on the surface to be a threat. But I then look 6 months, 12 months later after Datical has been implemented at these large Fortune 50 companies, and they have become data scientists.
Yep.
They have moved into management. They have taken on more responsibility.
They're doing more interesting things.
They are. But you're right. As humans, change is scary. And it's difficult. But I'll tell you, it is not as scary as how we're doing change with our software today.
Yeah,
that's
this
even
is
worse.
Also true. Yeah. Well, it's kind of Russian roulette kind of thing, but
yeah,
it is.
And there is certainly value in that, but of having a person there. But if these companies want to improve, and one of the things I led off with my presentation is the average lifespan on the S&P 500, and it is plummeting.
Yeah.
34 years in the 60s.
Yep.
Currently, it's 24 years. Yep. Projected to be 12 in 2027. So the companies are either going to change or they will be forced to change.
Yeah.
And those folks, yes, it is scary. It's difficult, but the ones with the right folks, with the good managers that can coach their people and retain that fount of knowledge in their organization, they will do well.
Yep. It reminds me, I saw Adrian Cockcroft present. I forgot now what event it was. But he said something that was true then, it's true now, and that is that people are the most valuable asset of any organization. I don't care what tools you have or what hotshot hardware you have. It's your people that will determine ultimately.
We say that Datical every day.
And so there's another piece of the human equation when we talk about automation, and then when we talk about things like decentralized data management, and that is look, it's been my experience in my lifetime, of working and managing, being managed, is that no one likes to feel that, Big Brother's up here somewhere, some unknown
No.
place, and dictating to them. But Big Brother's not here with me.
Mm-hmm.
He's not seeing what I see.
Yes.
And I don't have a way of feedback looping Big Brother so that Big Brother can then, take my feedback and iterate.
Yes, and make the right decisions.
Because we always feel the guy up above us is making the wrong decision.
Well,
right?
absolutely. It doesn't matter how high you go up. There's always somebody above you.
Exactly. And so, again, part of the human equation, but that also, I think, is something that decentralized data management really helps with, because it gives those people a chance, or at least not the appearance, it really does give them the ability for the feedback loops you say, hey, I'm here, I see what's going on, take my input, allow me to make decisions.
You are correct. There must be a balance. There is a reason why, when we were growing up, mom and dad put rules on us. No
Some
running.
of us.
No running at the pool.
Right.
That's a pretty good rule.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're going to slip and fall and hurt
But
yourself.
not the not eating for 30, or not swimming 30 minutes after
Oh,
eating.
that's goofy.
Yeah,
that was a silly
I
rule.
always knew that was a silly rule.
Such
but
BS.
I followed it. All
But
right.
we need to balance that. We need to be able to empower those product teams that are in charge of releasing or building and releasing software. We need to empower them to get their product out to the customer. But at the same time, these large corporations are heavily regulated.
Yeah.
They have a lot of hard-won experience to say, do this, not that. And so there needs to be a balance, a way of enforcing those standards, but allowing the individual to be the master of their own destiny. And we think that that's what we've done with Datical, to allow folks to have the ability to push all the way to production with their database changes, but also enforce those standards that come from Big Brother.
Yep.
And there must be a balance. Absolutely. We cannot, this idea that we're just going to do willy-nilly whatever we want, that didn't work with infrastructure as a service, or I'm sorry, infrastructure as code.
Right.
When we moved to the I&O folks stopped racking and stacking and moved to writing chef recipes.
Right.
That was hard. That was very challenging and difficult for folks. But for all the same reasons why we did that in I&O, we need to do this.
it in databases. We need to, and not only databases.
Everywhere.
I've had this conversation with you before, right? We did a webinar a couple of weeks ago where we talked about kind of what's coming, look back at DevOps and look ahead. And one of the things was DevOps everywhere, right?
Yes.
So you've got Dev Data Ops, Dev SecOps, Dev Test Ops, Dev whatever.
Everything.
Dev BizOps. And so I increasingly think, though, that organizations that strike that balance are the winners, right? It's not the organizations who automate everything necessarily. They automate what should be automated, but they have a balance with their human talent, and those are the organizations that excel. And I think we see it here at Think even too. You're seeing that, right? A lot of examples coming up with that. Let me turn things around a little bit now. So, Robert, you've been appearing with us now for 3-4 years, and I remember when I first launched DevOps.com, speaking with you, and look, the idea of how do we get the DBAs and the database people into the DevOps wagon was it was a little far-fetched still, a little
challenging.
Early. Challenging is a good word. I like that word. It was a challenge, but you know what? We've seen this evolution happening before our eyes. Here at a show like Think, where presenting yesterday. First of all, I think there's been an enhanced, or not an enhanced, but a return. People are realizing the importance of data, right? Dude, it's about the data, right? It's nice to have all these cool things that we have, but at the end of the day, the data is the crown jewels here.
The most valuable asset a company has is their data.
Yep.
That system of engagement, whether it's on a phone or a browser or a web service, that is going to change and evolve over time.
Yep.
But I can go to my Amazon account and I can see what I ordered in the early 90s, mid 90s, and but they've maintained that data. Now, how I interact with it, I use my phone. I use the Amazon mobile app now. I'm not going to the web browser.
Right.
And that has certainly changed. But the data has stayed there.
But the data is the data.
And because of that data that they have stored, that they've maintained, Amazon is able to do amazing things. They're able to suggest things that make sense to me. And most of the time, they're right. I normally buy that stuff.
Scary, right?
Yes. But you know what? I do like buying things. So
Me too. But, so take it away from Amazon. Go to Facebook, for instance.
Well,
and they're in the news.
Well, they are. And that
it's scary. I mean, data.
Absolutely. And so, just these are very hard problems.
Yeah.
What is going on with Cambridge Analytics and Facebook and those sorts of things. I do not wish that problem on my worst enemy. That is sticky.
I was just getting my head around GDPR.
Yeah, I know, right?
I can't deal with the other stuff. But
it's what we need to do is to prepare for that. It's not an issue of if a problem like this is going to happen to a company. It's when. We've certainly saw recently with Equifax and Apache Struts update that took too long. If they adopted DevOps, they do it like that. But also with other companies with their failings, even Amazon with the S3 outage recently.
I'll give you another one. It just came out today. You may not even know about it, or it came out yesterday. Orbitz. Orbitz announced that in 2016, 2 years ago, they had a breach that might have resulted in about 33 million people's credit cards and data being. They claimed they didn't find out about it till just now.
Right.
And I mean, that's scary when you think about it.
It absolutely it is. And we know these things are going to happen. Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but they will happen. And so what we need to do as an industry is we need to free our experts up from dealing with silly schema updates. We need to empower, decentralize that data management so that we can allow those experts to focus on security and performance and scalability, those sorts of things. That is where we want a human. We want a human to figure out, they need to be starting to ask, how can this go badly? Instead of, oh gosh, how am I going to get those 27 updates out in this maintenance window?
I
That's
agree.
where the automation should be, not on creatively solving problems.
There should be a human who's deciding, hey, these people should have access to that data.
Exactly.
Or not have access to that data,
exactly.
as the case may be.
Yeah, that's where we want a human to look at these things. We don't need a human on, should I add this column to a table?
Yeah.
Let the software take care of that.
That's a software thing. Well, Robert, thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us.
Of course.
I hope you've enjoyed Think. Yeah.
Always. Well, only because I got to hang out with you.
Well, we did. We did do some hanging out, my friend. Robert Reeves, founder, CTO, Datical, here with us at IBM Think 2018. This is Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com, DevOps TV. Have a great day.